Welcome back to the Pet Zone podcast with Victoria, Christine, Kim, and Laura. Fueled by clippers, caffeine, and the kind of humor HR would not approve of. Now let's jump back into the conversation.
I shamelessly shout out amazing things that make my life easier, that make my job easier. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you know
start
what?
with this
That's a
mobile
great
fucking
idea,
hack.
Laura.
Well, this
Maybe
is my
somebody in
first
Germany
shameless
wants
shout.
it.
This is my first shameless shout out.
Right?
I love me some protein shakes, and I live in a van. I mean, I don't literally live in a van, but when I'm in the van, I'm
She
in
lives
the
in a van
fucking
down by the
van.
river.
Down by the river selling seashells and mandarins. So I love this thing because I can throw all my ingredients in, pop it in my fridge, and then when I'm ready to use it, you just hit blend and it's rechargeable, so you don't have to plug it in, and it's the shit. It's a Ninja, and I got it
Ninja
for like
blender.
Ninja
Okay.
blender.
So I can tell you later. I can hit you up and be like, get the link for that Ninja blender.
We share a brain.
Oh, there you go.
And I love writing. I just love pen on paper and making use of it.
Yeah, what is
Yeah,
that little thing you got over there?
Oh my God.
that
It's
thing
the
is
Yeah.
intense. It's called
Remarkable
Remarkable.
Paper Pro, and you can have books on it. You can take notes on it. Right here at the end of the day, every day, I just
Isn't that
write
awesome?
write down my thoughts. And it's an e-reader.
Nice.
It's like a
But you can
Kindle.
write.
It's like a Kindle, a laptop, and an iPad from
All in one.
1998. Like had a baby.
Yeah, but there's no apps on it. There's no, like, literally, you can just take notes or read books.
Oh, I kind of like that. I think I need one of those in my life.
I
Yeah,
think
no,
I think
they're
you
awesome.
do. So I'll
Well,
put a
yeah, because
link to
otherwise
those.
I mean, I just looked it up. Otherwise, I'm walking around with an iPad and a
Well,
notebook.
you know what? One of the biggest thing is that there has been studies that have uncovered the fact that writing things physically down with your hands and a pen and paper, it completely rewires your brain. It flows creativity in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
That while it's great, like in the moment, to be able to kind of jot things down. Because I'm like a big fan of notebooks. I always carry a notebook on me, so like I'll have an idea hit me, and I can put it in. I have had. I remember when I first started working with AI. I was like really, really, really excited about this rush of this new tool, this, the wild, wild west of technology, and being able to incorporate a lot of my ideas into it. But it became hollow for a little bit
Mhm.
because, well, it was great to put the ideas into, copy and paste from my journals, my digital journals I use day one. Day one is really it's really great. It's like $30 a year, and it looks like a physical journal. You can just write your feelings in it, you can put recipes in it, you can put ideas in it, you can make it into JPEGs, you can do whatever the f you want with it. But I was just losing some kind of oomph in my writing, whether it be music, whether it be spoken word, whether it be comedy, whether it be, music, whatever it is. So I started writing things down more. And well, it's daunting to have to write something down and say like, hey, I want to run this through a program or do whatever. But like that physical act of writing shit down, we cannot lose that art. We
I've
can't
been
let.
getting more sparks of creativity from just physically writing, and keeping track of, like, notebooks and different notebooks and things. And maybe I don't like the way I wrote the word, but I want it in pen. I do like just having this because I can erase, I can write in pen, I can select it to look like pen or pencil or whatever, and I can erase and redo and make it look pretty. And I don't know, it tickles my brain or
Yeah.
massages my brain in a weird way. And then, like, just waking up and writing and just writing stuff down, jotting down thoughts has made me have a little more creative genius when I'm like off in la la land. When I'm dissociating, I'll be like, wow, that's a really good idea. And I don't
Yeah.
know, I think the writing.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of I'm really happy that Vicky, you were available, and Sarah, that you were available.
Yes.
Me too.
Me and Sarah are like vapid consumers. We're like independent research scientists when it comes to health and wellness. We will invest in all the things and test this shit out, and like we'll be on the phone like, guess what I just spent all my monies on? Like, guess what I spent all my monies on? And then we'll freaking train really hard, and then we'll test our data, and we are just certifiably nuts when it comes to
Oh,
health.
speaking of data, Laura, you asked me about the Hume Health Pod or whatever, and
Yes.
I told you that it was terrible. And while it does, it puts me at 48 years old. I'm 40. It says I'm 48 years old. It says like I'm really fat. It doesn't match like my DEXA scan, but 6 months later, data, it actually I've gained 7 pounds of muscle in 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was able to go through and like, so while you might not like whatever it tells you where you're at your
Girl,
baseline,
that looks like a credit score. That doesn't look like a life score.
it
Right?
says I'm in fair health. Like I'm
Right.
sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Like what?
You're not. You are
Right.
in
So I
excellent
told
health.
you this will upset you, the Hume, but what I did do with it was I collected data. I went and I ran a report from June through today, which
Yeah.
Mike got it for me for my birthday in June. And I was able to see that I did gain 7 pounds of muscle. I lost 6 pounds of fat, but I'm actually physically 5 pounds heavier. It's so cool. So like I was 145 pounds, right? Back in June. I'm now 152 pounds, but I've
Gained all
gained
that
7 pounds
muscle.
of muscle.
Well, we need to make sure we need to sound good for our thousands and thousands of fans and subscribers
For
that love us.
thousands, it's about the millions. I'm not here for the
So I'm
thousands.
sorry.
I'm here
I
for
meant
the
thousands of
millions.
millions. I meant hundreds
Okay.
of thousands of millions.
Yeah.
So, in lieu of health and all this, a quick backstory: me and Sarah have been teaching mainly just the subjects of health has been one of our biggest focus for the past couple of years. We've taught a class called "Ow My Back," a class that talks about nutrition, way to apply things to your life, our own shameless results of things, our trial and error, our health tests, yoga, strength training, Tai Chi. And swimming, preventative health care, all these things that you can do. And I think that what is just so unfortunate in life is from the age of 20, your teens to your like 20s, pretty much into your 30s, you can put garbage in the gas tank and run at 150% every single day, and you will have no issues. And that's how it was for boomers, Gen X, Zennials, elder millennials. Like it's just pretty much been our P's and Q's. Like we've been able to literally, you throw some Red Bull, have a pack of Newports. Like that was lunch. That was lunch for me. And it really wasn't an issue. And I have spent, like many people, a big chunk of my youth uninsured. There was a lot of confusion with healthcare, and when you didn't need it, you're not going to spend $500 a month for shit you don't need. So I had to be really mindful on preventative medicine. So when something started not feeling right, I immediately researched it to death. And once the internet became more internety, it became an excellent tool to work in tandem with your health. Now, what I've seen change in like the past 15 years is the teenagers and the 20-year-olds are not getting the same grace that we did. I am
Yeah.
meeting more and more 19 and 20-year-old men and women that are suffering from inflammatory diseases and autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoporosis, and just some have like the GI tract of like a 75-year-old man. I am going to disclose with this, obviously, because when this reaches our millions of followers, I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to give medical advice. I'm a health nerd with a background in both canine, feline, and human nutrition. And I've studied these things, applied these things to my life, but I am not providing anyone with any guidance. Always above most, check with your doctor. Your doctor knows more than me. And that's
Insert
the way
legal
we do.
disclaimer here.
Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
So
Beep, beep.
once I started noticing this, I started taking more of an interest in talking about it. And when it came to teaching on like the dog show circuits, I didn't want to compete for doing haircuts and the financials and mobile, because like there's some really great educators that do that. And we got the right people for the right place. But when it came to health, I was like, hey, if you're gonna let me teach you whatever I want, this is what I'm gonna go for. And then this grew into something that was bigger than me. And I partnered up with Sarah, and I was just like, hey, we should do this. And every year it got better, and we've decided to kind of take this in a different direction to reach more people and to help more people. And which I just try to talk very publicly about these things, and get together in groups and just let people know that they're not alone with all these things, and just offer information. You can, you know, there's so many facets to approach health and to talk about our health. And the one thing you need to know is you can't outpill a bad diet. You can't out overtrain a bad diet. If I think that I don't like to come as a health guru. I don't like to lecture people, because I've been that asshole and it's never received well. But what I do like to do is, nobody should be eating and operating their meat suit in a place of ignorance. I believe in informed consent, and you should know what's in your food. You should know what supplements to take in what order. You should have a blueprint of how to communicate with your doctor so you can work together as a team, instead of coming from a place of, you don't know anything, I know everything. Like that doesn't work either. So, it's that's pretty much what Ow My Back is about. Now Ow My Back has given birth to Oh My Back. And just kind of wanted to just kind of reiterate some of these things on this platform to reach other like-minded professionals that are like, shit, man, like my back's hurting too. And hey, my body hurts, or you know what? I need to
Oh,
do
my
better about my
back.
diet. Oh, my back.
The
What's
backening.
great,
The
the
comeback.
backening, the beckoning. What I loved about having Sarah join me is she offered a different lens to people we could reach, because like we're both small business owners, both women. She's a mom, she's a wife, and she offers a relatability that more people can tie to. Me, my husband, dual
Yep.
income, no kids. So it's a different, like, oh yeah,
The
F you, you
dinks. The
skinny bitch.
dinks
You
are
were
in
born
town.
skinny. And it just adds a layer of relatability and understanding that, like, hey, we both put the same efforts. We both have different burdens. We both have crazy lives, but we apply all these methodologies to our lives and get the results.
Yeah.
Well,
And
And
I
you
I
talk
think
were
a
about
big thing you
for
just, I hate the
go ahead,
delay. I think a big thing you
Victoria.
said
I know.
was the effort. I think that's a key that most people miss in a lot of things, is it takes effort.
it does. Want to know what? It's not with most things, people in life, they'll try once or twice, and they usually give up somewhere along the line, because listen, life's hard. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize, our bodies were not built for comfort. We have a century of data of what the time of excess has done to our mental health, our physical health, our emotional well-being. Insert something that goes along with that list. But things aren't supposed to be good. What happens to a lot of us when we get into our hopeless seasons where things are difficult, we're like, I can't wait for it to be good again. When it gets good again, the mind gets fatigued, it gets tired, you get sloppy. Like, we're not supposed to be in this time of excess. These meat suits, these bodies, they're designed for labor, they're designed for fast and famine, they're designed for hard work. And we're also designed for leisure too, but it's not supposed to be, like 30 hours a day. it's
Yeah,
and
there's
we
ordinary discomfort.
and why this ties very beautifully to the mobile, to a mobile, to a group of mobile dog groomers, is what was sold to us 15, 20 years ago when we stepped into this realm of dog grooming. Well, it's better for your body because you're not doing as many dogs, you're not lifting, and you have modern equipment that rises to grooming height, and this, that, and the other. So once I started paying attention to my labs, my numbers, and what's going on with my body when I thought I was healthy, I realized that mobile dog grooming is the worst possible fucking thing for your body,
No.
your mental health, and everything in between. yeah, you're doing less dogs, but you're sitting for, even if it's 3 4 hours a day, that's 3 4 hours a day. And then you're standing, and then you're doing this movement, then you're doing this movement, then you're doing this movement, and then you're doing this, because it doesn't matter how much our table goes up, we do this. And so then we go to the chiropractor. We're educated, go to the chiropractor. Acupuncture. But we're going to keep drinking our coffees that have about 1900 calories in them. We're still going to be having an abundance of omega-6s in everything we eat, and wondering, ooh, my hands. Well, you know what? I guess it's time for hand surgery. I'm sorry. I don't remember like 40 years ago, 30 years ago, grandma going, "Oh, it's time for my hand surgery." You didn't hear healthy 50 and 40 and 30-year-old women in excess getting carpal tunnel surgery, or having arthritis, or having these issues. And now we have more women with osteoporosis and osteoporosis than ever. There's a lot of underlying causes to that, but again, it starts with a decline in nutrition, an increase of empty calories, nutrition deficit, and we're not using our bodies.
Agree.
I'm going to periodically
What
shut
about
up
you?
because I know I talk too much.
I just have to take notes I have to write down notes whenever I think of something that I want to bring up later. So I just have been
Yeah, like fat. Obviously, feel
jotting it
free to like
down.
jump in. It's just like I could literally talk about health for like 6 hours, and I know you can too. So I don't want to steal your point of view on things. But once I
I can talk
started
about
kind
a
of
horse's
seeing
health.
this, I know you can. And horses health, like a horse's health is no joke. The most majestic, beautiful creatures, and you wonder how the f did they live in the wild on their own ever. It's like, oops,
They
also
didn't.
scary, $10,000 health scare.
I have to say to your point about mobile grooming being kind of one of the worst things you can do. I have to agree that a lot of things that I realized upon becoming a mobile groomer, I was already on my health journey years before I became a mobile groomer. So I had lost weight and started eating healthier and everything. But once I became a mobile groomer, it was things like being in a closed-in box, inhaling all these chemicals and
Mm-hmm.
not protecting my lungs all these years. And that's when I've discovered that I am allergic to dogs. And now I have to get shots every single month
Mm.
to keep my symptoms down. And wearing a mask, wearing ear protection,
Yeah.
cleaning the allergens off of your skin and your body, just doing stupid stuff like that's awesome. But yeah, so I don't know, becoming a mobile groomer, a lot of things in my health failed, such as like my allergies, respiratory health, trying to keep that healthy. The using poor form in mobile, I don't know where it came about, but like I messed up my shoulder within 2 years of going
Hmm.
mobile. And I think it's just because you're in this enclosed space and you have to handle these like large animals, and you find yourself bending and twisting and using this to dry the dogs because I'm old school. I need a stand
I
dryer.
know.
I
I
don't
put
have a
my
stand
hose right
dryer.
here,
So
and I go like
right
this.
here, it's the worst thing. So I've been using that Artero neck one, and it just sits here, and
Hmm.
holy crap!
So
I
I
come
love
home and
that.
I'm like, oh, my neck feels
I love that
amazing.
thing, but it's just like I got this scrawny little freaking neck, so it just
It
and
just tilts.
and like my one of my assistants, like she's got a thicker neck, and she has the exact opposite problem. Like she can't like adjust it. And she's like, if I slide it over, it just starts indenting into her throat. But like
Oh,
if it was a little more bendy, like and actually I'm using a bad word, bad way to explain this. Bendy in the sense that you can adjust it on every corner. It's not like this
yeah.
one big piece that just kind of bends
Yeah,
in like a hair claw. Like if it had
yeah.
360 adjustments, because again, we all come in different shapes and sizes,
Are you
and
talking like
Yeah,
about
I
that
know.
dryer, like the one I had on the last time, I think, that I showed that
yeah, I
Robert
mean,
sent
like
me?
15 different companies have copied the exact same model and slapped a
That
label on
one
it.
is
So
super
that,
flexible, and then you can turn the dryer this way, that way, all the ways. I will say I
yeah,
really like that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of
nice.
different brands, and I see some of them have different neck uh
Yes.
holsters. And the dryers on them, some are like this way, so Yeah, I don't know. I think as a mobile groomer, that was literally just
That
happened this year,
and
and it was a
that's
game
a very
changer.
big help. It's a very, very big
Holy
help.
crap. Because like my neck, like, and it was just, and it's not preventable. Like, with mobile, you've got to fluff dry the dogs. You've got to have something. And, a lot of people have got it figured out. Thank goodness, but a lot of us don't.
You wanna know what? I had an idea and, I would have to speak to an engineer about this, to see if it's possible, but instead of our velocity dryers being a cone, imagine above the table arm, you actually extend. So this works obviously for big dogs and little dogs. Where the tip of your table arm is a dryer head that's flat, and the air comes down flat,
Mm.
blowing on top of the dog. So then you're going around the dog top, then you pull the square over to the side, and then you are able to work around it. That way the dryer doesn't have to be attached to you. That little bendy grooming arm that comes with our table just blows anyways. So it's
Yeah, the
the
Chris
that
Christensen arm.
I literally
My
every
one
time
groomer loves it,
you
but
want to know what? It's like when
I
it works, it
I never
works.
could.
It's in a terrible
Yeah.
angle. It's in a shit spot, and I've never
Yep.
really been a fan of it. But
You
I
know what I
just
want back? I want that stand dryer that my mom had, because like my mom
I
taught me
know
how to groom, and this thing was from the fucking 80s.
I
If
know
it
exactly.
fell on your foot,
You're
you got to
done.
go to the hospital,
Yep.
right? It's big metal, and it was hot, like
Yep.
really hot. It had one heat setting, right? You could have no heat, or you could have fucking hot,
Yep.
and
Is
then
that
just have it on the dog and move it wherever you wanted to, and it had like
yeah.
good power. I want that
But I
back. I
think
want that in my plan.
something square that comes down from the ceiling that blows down. And I think
Yeah.
that would be, I don't understand why we haven't had much new innovation in terms of our tools.
Yeah.
I feel like we keep reinventing the wheel, and, it's
We're
just,
getting there. Enough people are buying 3D printers nowadays. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
no,
many solutions are
this is
coming about. So,
definitely true. One thing I do want to mention in terms of ergonomics, and obviously screwing up your shoulders and your back. I after years of going to the chiropractor, I found a really good chiropractor that doesn't want to just see me all the time and take my money. He doesn't want to just straighten me up so I'm good for a couple weeks. He actually corrected a lifelong problem and was able to, and I documented this on my Facebook page. I had lost the curve in my neck. I was suffering
Mhm.
from tech neck and from dog groomer neck. And I was able to reclaim the curve and slow down the degeneration that's going on between my C6 and C7. It has been 2 years since I have felt tingling in my hands, and I did decomp for a little bit. We did, we threw the freaking kitchen sink at dealing with the back, but now I just twice a month I do stim, I do adjustments, I do strength training, I do yoga, I do tai chi, I do all these crazy things. But one of the most important things you can do in your van, if you're, or not even just in your van, in your work environment, which a lot of people overlook when working out, is when you're talking about your neck and you're talking about your arms and you're talking about your legs, and we have to unpredictably move and shift and do stuff like this, and that's what messes us up. And dead bug and bird dog is probably the best way you can start your day. If you're comfortable with your floor, get into the bird dog. You're on all fours. You put opposite leg and opposite foot out and you extend. And then with the dead bug, you lay on your back. You put your hands up like you put your hands on handlebars, and you put your legs up, and then you extend your arm and your opposite arm, opposite leg, bring back, and then you bring it back into place. And those two exercises, when you're doing it in like a dynamic fashion, and we're talking 5-minute warm up before you start your day, you're strengthening your trunk. I don't want to say core, because this is not core work. It's strengthening your trunk. When your body is learning that these limbs are separate from the back, that you can move your arm and do what you need to do, and you're not jerking your neck and jerking your back. And just that correction, in my day to day, has just changed my life so much. The other thing, and me and Sarah talked about this in our class, is mirror movement. So if you're doing this 1,000 times, this is our shave move, okay? I'm not jerking off an elephant.
Oh,
This is
sorry. I
a
was like, oh, insert dirty joke here.
Yeah, I was waiting for it to happen. Um, so when you're doing this movement, and then I try to switch up arms, my arms that I don't need to do with precision work. Sometimes I'll clip with that hand and I'll dry with that hand to switch it up. So then you're taking the power blower and you're doing this. Okay, so you're doing this, and then you're taking the sprayer and you're doing this. Then you're holding and gripping, and then you're combing, and then you're brushing. So you're doing all these shaking moves. You need to, what you do on one side of your body, you need to repeat on the other side of your body.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, if you take off all your clothes, everybody, you can take off all your clothes now if you want to. Just turn the cameras off, just because YouTube probably wouldn't like that. So, this isn't the Kendra cam. You don't need to
Don't
stand
judge
up and
me.
show us everything. He's judging you.
He's
Look
so
at
judging
your
me.
body in the mirror and stand up straight. And you can look at where your shoulders are, and you'll see one all jacked up here, like you got trapped so high you can't even hear shit. Like, and then the other side is like, meow.
That's
And
why I injured this shoulder, because
exactly,
it was this arm is strong. All these muscles, these quick twitch muscles are very strong on this arm, and this everything. Usually, all of my injuries and deficits and tendinitises all happen on this arm. So I know, like you talked about in the class, that you need to go through and make sure you repeat those motions on the other side. And yeah, that's tedious. So like what everybody can do, that's actionable right now to help that, is just train your left arm, or your other arm, your non-dominant, because we're not all right-handed. But
Lefty.
just train that to do the things too, have it dry, have it brush,
yeah.
have it
You
clipping
want to just repeat it as much as
as
possible.
often as possible. Share the load between
So
both arms, and
this is where
it
I'm
helps.
lucky. I was born left-handed and taught to do everything right-handed because yes, I
Same.
brush and comb with both hands,
Nice.
everything with both hands
Oh
except
my
for
gosh.
scissor with my
That's
right
good.
hand, even though I'm a lefty. I cannot scissor
Yeah,
with
well,
my
and
left
Yeah.
hand.
also with horseback riding, you're controlling a very large animal, and you are having to use both your left side of your body and your right
And
side of
every
your
part of
body,
your
and
body
sometimes at the same time. Yeah.
independently,
So that
opposites, while tightening your core and doing this and doing that all at the same time and hoping and praying it all works in that split second. And all the horse people should know you work the horse's muscles the same way, equal amount of
yeah,
times, or your horse is lopsided.
yeah, exactly. So
Mhm.
these are important exercises that you can do that can prevent overcompensation and undercompensation on the other side.
I love that. I didn't know that about the horses.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
That you
really
had to do that's cool. I know, you're not supposed to, and that this is where I learned the term. Someone explained it to me after moving to Texas. The term rode hard and put up wet.
somebody said that about my
Right? I
shoes.
thought it was dirty. And
No,
it's a horse. A
it's
wet horse is a horse that
it's a
didn't get
sweaty
its cool
horse.
down after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, it didn't get its cool down after being worked. And I'm sorry, what happens when you don't cool the horse down?
A million things. If you don't warm them up and cool them down, a lot of times their muscles will tighten up, tense up, and they can actually go into it's called tying up, something where I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look that up. Hold on. Keep talking. Let me look that up.
We need
Because
a
see, I don't do
moderator. Do
that
we
to
have a
my
budget? Do we
I
have a
don't do that to my
do we have a
horse.
do we have a
Our budget's in
budget
the
for a
Right,
deficit.
moderator yet? Fuck.
No.
right. Someone who can
Plus,
get us information on the fly.
You
a
know what?
painful muscle condition causes
Alex would be
cramping,
great
stiffness,
for it.
sweating, reluctance to move. Yeah.
Mm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
External rhabdomyolysis. It gets bad.
ooh,
They actually end up probably needing to go to the hospital when that happens because their whole body will freeze up. That's why they call it tying up. Every muscle will contract, and they're so
mm,
dehydrated that a lot of times you have to send them to the vet for a very expensive IV thing that may or may not save their life.
wow.
Or
Yeah.
you could just
Yeah.
treat them like they're not tools.
Yeah. Exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
I think it's what happens to a groomer's body, honestly, just a lot slowly, like much
I
more
mean,
slowly over
listen,
time.
when
Think
I was
about
in
it.
my 20s, and in my 30s, I would spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on making sure my equipment was maintained by the best. and that I bought the best. And I would then, whatever was left over, nourish myself with Red Bulls and Newports and freaking New York City dollar slice pizza and halal. No
Mhm.
shade, those things are all great, but it's just how the mentality goes. And the trouble is we're never really properly educated about food, about what its role
No.
is. Food, it's been, whether you're loaded or you're poor or you're in the middle, food's comfort. Food is comfort. And it's not put there to like, oh, I need my body to be big and strong. I need to feel good. It's, I had a hard day. I want to feel good right now. Sometimes that's the only dopamine rush you get. Like, I mean, obviously, so many Americans are on the standard American diet, the sad diet. But most dog groomers, they be on that, one meal a day diet, but in a horrible way. So,
One meal
like,
a day
they'll be
that came from
Well,
starting.
and it's
7-Eleven.
terrible that the food that they put out, like the horrible thing that is that the food that they're putting out and that people go to grab, it is releasing dopamine.
Yeah.
And most of us dog groomers are neurodivergent and we are chasing dopamine.
Yep. Yep.
So like it's not their fault. It
No.
wasn't my fault. It wasn't
No.
your fault. It's
There's that we
it's
we were not really given the tool. We were like, every generation had its own shortcomings and its own beneficiaries. But like at the end of the day, when it came to food was just not something we were super educated about because we've been coddled more and more so generation after generation to,
Mhm.
man, the companies make the food and we don't have to freaking hunt. We don't have to think about any of this stuff. This is just yum. And this is whether you're a vegetarian, whether you're a vegan, whether you're carnivore, whether you're keto. If you don't unpack the ingredients and research, you could be sold a health product, and that health product has compromising ingredients that aren't found in nature, that mess your brain up, that mess your gut biome, and
back
screw.
in the day, those Atkins things, those Atkin bars and all that, like
Mhm.
I was kind of younger, I was like a teenager, but I watched my mom and other groomers like at work, you eat those and like they tear your gut up. Like, the thing, if you have too many sugar-free things, you're gonna like run to the bathroom and have like
Yeah.
diarrhea. So and these were marketed for people to be healthy with. And we still had the problem of the binging, so people can't just take a little bit of those things in regular serving sizes, and use them appropriately. Those also get abused.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's this little at the end of the one thing I that I always like to emphasize on is I like to share with people like things that I do or you do or that we do, but like everybody's body is different.
Yes.
And we're not all the same. So like I always hate it, like you should do keto, you should do carnivore, you should eat 3 times a day, you should eat
Yeah.
1 time a day. My husband's, he needs to eat once a day. His all his biomarkers go to shit if he eats more than once a day. It doesn't mean he can't like indulge every so, but his body thrives on like an 8-hour window of eating or just eating once a day, and sometimes even less than that.
Yeah.
And whereas I tried to mimic that, I checked my biomarkers, everything tanked and went into the toilet because my body is designed to eat several, I still like to do intermittent fasting. I like to kind of eat within a window, not as long as my
We
my
all need
husband
a
does,
12-hour break
but
minimum.
it's
Bare minimum
it's I need
12-hour
to eat
break
three
from
times. I
eating,
need to eat three
everybody.
times a day. There's
Yeah.
no most important meal of the day. There is that it is the meal that you eat. That is the important meal. So,
Yes.
groomers in particular, obviously we're in caretaking positions. So even if there's no one to take care of in our household, we take care of about, 200 to 300 individual clients, and possibly a staff and, our friends in the community. And so a lot of us, when it comes to our care, we're on empty by the time we get home. So what I hear from a lot of people is I don't have time. And fair enough. A lot, you know what, when it comes to, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And this comes from a place of not lecturing. It's saying, you know what, I'm not going to let the idiot box, this thing, rob me of 30 minutes. And I'm gonna sell myself an hour, over 2 days. I'm gonna sell myself a total of an hour of time so I can meal prep. And by meal prep, you don't
Yep.
need to make yourself fucking gourmet meals. You can take
No.
literally 2 dozen eggs, hard boil them, and then cool. That's your midday snack. You can literally take a can of freaking tuna, throw it in don't batch that out for days. I highly recommend you
Ew.
don't. So just like take a can of tuna, like for that day. It's as easy as boom.
2 days max.
Yeah, throw that in the freaking bowl. If you want to get real fancy, you can get yourself like a food processor and throw in like vegetables, and it can finally chop it up for you, and then you can mix that with your tuna mash. But you can do that. Now, there's nothing wrong if you find that when you eat during the day, it fucks you up while you're working. That's not a problem. This is what works with me. I prefer not to eat while I'm grooming. I hate eating while I'm grooming. I like to wake up in the morning, eat a full heavy breakfast, and then wait to eat till I get home. But my biomarkers and what goes on with my health and body does better if I eat that additional meal in the middle of the day. Doesn't need to be heavy, doesn't need to be crazy. It just needs to be an additional meal before dinner. And that really makes all the difference. There is
I think another huge difference and something worth mentioning, again, like diet related, I I don't think there really is any, like you said, everybody is different and we all have different bodies. We all have different needs. Um, the biggest change that people could just make is just eat whole foods.
Yep.
And if you're going to be binging, I mean, shoot, binge on hummus and, vegetables, even like some good clean beef jerky. Come on now. Like
So
it's
if you're
good.
if you're
Nuts,
eating if you're eating protein,
whole
if
food.
you're getting protein and you're getting fat in,
Yeah.
you can eat an entire bag of Pringle or entire can of Pringles. You can eat an entire bag of Doritos or
Yeah.
chips, because
But they're not nutrient dense,
those food
They're
items
just so empty.
have been scientifically adulterated to turn off hormones in your brain
Mhm.
that tell you you're
That tell
full,
you that you're full.
and
And
they're
they fire
flavors
up
that are
ghrelin,
not.
which is the hunger hormone.
Yeah, and they're
So
flavors
they
that
just
don't
make
even
you
exist
repeatedly more
in
hungry.
there's flavors that don't even exist in nature. So it really,
Yeah.
really, really fucks us up. It fucks the dogs up. It fucks everybody up. So with that being said, try overeating a stick of butter. It's not gonna happen.
Ugh.
Try overeating, a 3-ounce piece of steak, with a side of vegetables and some butter or some cream added to it. You are going to be full. And now all this sounds boring, and I just want to disclose with the fact that I eat chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake. I usually try to make my own chocolate cake. I try to prioritize something that has great ingredients. But there is a whole structure of your meal, and anybody that's probably got like grandparents that are or parents that are silent generation or greatest generation, you remember the construct of the meal. Your plate had a protein, a carbohydrate, like starch, like a potato or whatever, and a vegetable, and some fat. And
And
you
they
had a
always
salad.
started with a salad.
You would eat your
Mhm.
salad, you would eat around the plate, and everyone would take a fucking walk. And after the fucking
Yeah.
walk, you would have the dessert, because the kitchen would be getting cleans in between. Usually the kids were doing it, and that be that. So the blood sugar spike, and I wear a Stello, so I've been able to take every single thing that the glucose goddess spoke about. Lovely woman, highly recommends tuning into any and all of her content. But I consume information and then I test it. So I do my own research, and I started using a Stello, so a continuous glucose monitor. I know they can be kind of a touchy subject for some people because they think you're taking away from people that need it. They make enough of them for everybody. There's the ones that go to people with insurance, and then there's ones that go to people that pay to pocket. It's not taking anything from anybody. The people that use these for insurance aren't spending $100 a month on these things. They're using their insurance to pay for them because
Yeah.
their doctors recommend them. I don't want to have diabetes. I don't want to. I want to be a good steward of my health. I want to monitor these things, and so that's why I've done it. So it allows me to see when I eat the meal the correct way, and then I have the reward cake, watching my blood sugar do what it's supposed to do. Goes up a couple degrees and comes right back down. So knowledge is power. Stello is, I know you used a different one. Which one do you use?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought the what the heck was that one called? Lingo.
Lingo. Yeah. So I use
Yeah.
the Stello. I think it's
I used it for about a month, and all it was for the month for me. All I wanted to do
Just
was
get that.
experiment with some of my favorite fruits, my favorite snacks. I was able to see that like the impact that alcohol has on my blood sugar and all of that. And the coolest thing in that month that I learned was that alcohol, chocolate, candy, cake, fruit, all of it, well, it has an impact, but a sugary drink with nothing else around it, our clients are so sweet. We're mobile. We show up. They're giving us lunch. They're giving us stuff. My one client gave me this really cool, like lemonade, something or other, and it was super sugary. But I was having one of those days, and I was like, screw it. I'm gonna slam this sugar drink, and it's gonna be good. I will tell you, my blood sugar spike was dangerous.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy cow. So like a glass of wine or some cake, around a balanced meal, followed by protein or preceded by protein, though the impact on me was really that sugary drink. And it's like, holy cow, I look at like so many people that are out there just like still drinking like full sugar soda and stuff.
Yeah.
I
And
love
it's
my
like,
full sugar
wow.
soda.
Yeah. No, it's,
Ooh.
yeah,
And no
it's,
wonder we're having mood swings
yeah,
and we're cranky and we're
I
hangry.
I cut all these things out. I cut all these things out, and you reach a point where it no longer feels like I'm missing out. I'm really, really glad that I love the way I eat. I love the way I prepare my meals. I love how I feel. And I'm able to apply this to a truck. I live in two households. I live both in New York City and Pennsylvania, and I'm able to make this work. And, it takes a little bit of mindful planning and thinking. Um, but I feel better. I've been able to see the differences in how I feel, my mental health, and just, again, I'm watching people of all ages really freaking suffering through it. And it's healthy people in their 20s, that's supposed to be their decade where you can put the cheapest gas in the tank and fucking thrive. And it breaks my heart to see people not. And
Yeah.
you know, I think every couple of generations evolve so they can handle things. Our ancestors evolved to survive. A lot of the mutations that we all have today, they're mutations that might be inconvenient for modern life, but they're what kept us alive. And so, like when it comes to all the plastic that's in the food and all the frankenfoods, we don't have a chance. None of us have a chance living on this type of food. Our children may not have a chance, but maybe their children will, their organs will, have evolved to be able to process, food that isn't food and be able
God,
to.
Red
no.
dye
I
number
hope
40.
not. Has anybody ever seen that movie? What is that?
Idiocracy.
The movie with the little robot. Oh my goodness. No, but that's a good one. It's a children's movie. With the
iRobot.
oh my God, the no. But the people in this movie have evolved over the years to do nothing but lay, and they have these like pods that take them around this spaceship, and the
Wally.
people, they have no like no muscle. Wally. I was gonna look it up. And these people have evolved to just be carted around on like little pods, and when they can't stand up because they're all jello, like they don't have like and they're all round. So what you're saying, Laura, is like maybe one day our bodies could process food like that. I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that either. But again, our meat suits they're resilient, they're amazing, and
And they're evolutionary. They do change over time.
what I know that I've talked about this like quite a bit with you Sarah, is I have like a bunch of weird blood mutations. I have something called low protein S and if you look it up, you're going to barely find any information on it. There's like only a handful of doctors that know what it is and how to deal with it. It impacts surgery, being dormant, and pregnancy. So what happens is when the body is in a state of recovery, injury, or pregnancy, any of these things, the body produces clots to control bleeding. And when it clots, it doesn't know how to stop. Really great. Really great. In medieval times, and
If
times
you're
when we
bleeding
were
out.
forced to be in states of pregnant all the time. Really inconvenient in the modern world. So I started looking at a lot of my mutations up this way, that these things did serve a purpose, and it's why my genetics have been able to survive this point. You unpack it a little further. I really struggle with ferritin, and it's something that I highly recommend. There's so many women that suffer with anemia, and some, their iron levels are normal, so they don't catch the ferritin. And so if you're not like if you don't have a slight background of the understanding of the two and knowing how to advocate yourself to your doctor, they'll just run a regular blood panel and they'll say, hey, your TIBC, your saturation, and your iron's normal. And then you have your cycle and you have your period, and then all of a sudden your ferritin flatlines, and then you start dipping into your iron. So it depends on what part of your cycle you're on, if you're ovulating or if you're not, or if you're past that point of what those numbers would show. And so it's been something. I'm one of those people. I love Western medicine. I love Western testing, but I'm not on the prescription train. So if there's a problem, I want to resolve it with food, lifestyle, and have a game plan in order if medication needs to be involved, so I can make decisions quickly. So, I've been taking that approach with this. And what I realized is, what was the purpose of iron deficient anemia is basically like, the even when it was documented 300 years ago, it was like dead blood. It was, a sickly human being that has no nourishment in their blood. And what would be the purpose of something like that in evolution? When when shipping and trade and exchange really erupted, 15th, 16th, 17th century, so did pathogens, illnesses, and sicknesses. And so, a lot of, just again, so anybody that was just being subjected to lots of people and new things being shipped and delivered, a lot of people are getting sick. If you don't have a lot of iron in the blood, the pathogen won't attach to the host. Isn't that fucking nuts? Like, that
Yeah.
is absolutely not. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't get the flu. It doesn't mean you don't get a cold, but from an evolutionary standpoint, it was put to protect that. That's why we don't store iron. That's nuts. Absolutely freaking nuts to me. So that's the way I like to look at, life's, when you feel like nature's D student, like, why do I exist? I like to unpack it that way. So if this is something that you are struggling with, if you notice, like, right around January, February, March, you feel sluggish and you feel tired, like, it may not just be seasonal depression. Your hands feeling cold, your toes feeling cold, it may not just be seasonal depression. That circulation issue, that's your body's defense mechanism saying, all right, we got to shut down freaking all the lower levels. We need to preserve the heart. We need to nourish the organs. And this is what we got to do. There's so many different ways you can go about dealing with. You can go to your doctor. You can get an iron infusion. And while you've been brought up to the correct numbers, then you can maintain it. And if you're a woman that's actively menstruating, during that bleed week is when you really need to focus on taking whatever your doctor recommends for an iron supplement. I take iron bisglycinate. There's a lot of other different forms. Everybody has their own issues or sensitivities to taking iron. But something that does also help is knowing that when you're taking non-heme iron, you need to know that coffee, tea, any kind of caffeine, dairy, milk, magnesium will compete with absorption. You need vitamin C to appropriately absorb iron. So, like, every other day I take iron bisglycinate, and I'll eat a mandarin orange and I'll take my iron, and then I won't take any supplements. I won't take any electrolytes or anything until at least like 1 or 2 hours. And that's when I'll have my big breakfast. That's when I'll have my dairy and all my fats and stuff like that. So, it took me like 2, 3 years of just researching and everything. And I see great doctors, but sometimes they're programmed to address the problem when it's a problem, not when it's prevention. And so, they'll let a whole year go by and you're in a critical number again. You're like, why is this happening? They're like, it just happens. So many people have it. You have to learn how to advocate for yourself, and sometimes that takes a while. Like, the way I pretty much explain to most of my doctors these days is like, I'm insured this year, I probably won't be insured next year, so as a result I need to make decisions that don't hitch me up to the system. And so I need to know that, like, I'm not going to be leaning up on a prescription med or a service or something. I just need access to testing and access to the internet, and with the power of those things, we put it together.
Agree. Well, even just in a basic nutrition thing, I wonder, sorry, pause for effect, how many people even recognize or know? Because, like you said, we weren't, sorry, my brain got stuck somewhere back and it's coming back now. When we were growing up, we were taught the food
Yeah.
pyramid, which I don't even know what it looks like, but I know it's wrong.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
you'll look at your nutrition facts and you're like, oh, this is sugar free. But then you go and look how many carbs are actually in it. But you have to look at that. We were just talking about it the other day at our house because someone was talking about, I think we were talking about doing this show, and they were like, oh, well, everyone with the New Year's resolutions. And I was like, yes, but you need to also educate yourself. Like, we're talking going to the grocery store, don't go up and down the aisles, go around the outside, just those little things that can help you. Sorry, my dog is being cute. And
The food pyramid scam, they really did not do. I would say the greatest generation already had like a strong foundation for health because their bodies performed how they were supposed to perform. There was times of fast, there was times of famine, there was time of abundance, and they worked really hard physically. So like they had a good start to health. And so when the food pyramid scam started really messing everybody up, they had already lived their life cycle. Baby boomers, they're the ones that really, really paid the price, because when you look at the baby boomers, when they were like, my parents are silent, my adopted parents, they're silent generation. So when they were 45, they were 45. Like, they weren't like our 45. Like, they were 45 on a blood pressure med, on a statin, on cholesterol medication. They type, why am I losing it? Diabetes? All this shit started happening because the war on fat really fucked everybody up. The war on fat, the war on cholesterol, really, like the verbiage that they used, and they never took it back, and they never apologized, and never said they were wrong, and they know they were wrong about fat. It was just an easy thing to demonize at the time. I can't believe that there was a time they were recommending 6 to 12 servings of fucking grains and carbohydrates a day.
Well, that was Kellogg's.
Yeah.
They did that. That was literally just a marketing ploy to sell more cereal.
I like the food pyramid. It didn't.
And it's crazy because how did it become the Bible? Like, it's just like
it
blows my
didn't
mind.
match human biology. They knew it. There was really, it blows my mind that there was a time, and it's not that I didn't exist in it. I was a little kind of like damn the man at a young age, but there was a time that the TV people would come on and they'd be like, hey, you're supposed to eat dirt. And you would eat dirt and you wouldn't question. Like, the TV people said this. I would say we're in a slightly different time because the TV people say something. We don't all watch the same shit. We watch what the machine cultivates for us to watch. So it's really difficult to have conversations if people are subscribing to things that are different than yours and they're not willing to have a discussion. Some people are like, this is what I learned, and I'm not going to talk about anything. The baby boomers were really the generation that paid the most physical costs for bad guidance on fat and cholesterol.
And that the war on fat was started by Kellogg's, just a ploy to sell more cereal. And somehow it turned into the food pyramid, and that became the Bible. And it's
FYI, Kellogg's, I just
so
need you to
crazy.
understand, guys, if you're gearing up to sue us, I am not a millionaire. I am a mere hundredaire. So you can't get blood from a rock, boo. So just cool your tits.
this is just opinion. I'm pretty sure I read it on the internet somewhere.
Yep, I know.
Or heard another podcast talk about it. I'm pretty sure Vinnie Tortorich talks
I'm
about
a
it all the time.
millennial. I've got spiders and hamsters in my brain. Like, because of
I
your
don't have
cereal.
money because I have a horse. I would have had money and then I bought a horse, so now I'm poor.
Yay. I would rather be poor on a horse than rich in a car.
True. We're gonna make that a t-shirt. So many t-shirts. Well, my
I
brain
know.
says my conspiracy brain says the reason the pyramid is the way it is because the FDA said so, which also has the drug company saying so, which that can go down a whole other rabbit hole of lobbyists
Yeah.
and politicians. And
Oh,
they want us to be unhealthy because then they sell more
it's a
medicine, which
business.
makes us, yeah.
It's a business at this point. One of the most
It's not just big pharma though, it's big sugar.
it's big
Like,
It's
I
all of
sugar.
them.
mean, come on. Like, yeah,
They're all
they're
connected.
they're over there. They're up there. They're above us because we're here. We're the common people. You know, and they're up there and they're feeding each other and they're keeping each other going. And then we are just these like puppets, you know, and we're being fed all of this stuff through our devices, you know, told what to enjoy, what to watch, what to buy, changing our minds. And everything that you consume on there continues to feed you that. And then you become this like feedback loop of yourself. And nobody's winning. Not
Yeah,
us.
no, nobody would. Listen, I'm a businesswoman. I love businesses, but you want to know what? We should probably make. I think it would be a better situation that you pay every day that you pay your doctor every day that you're healthy, and every day that you're sick, you pay nothing. I would rather that be the motto than you're just paying in your illness and for the privilege of being able to pay for your illness. A lot of the doctors and a lot of professionals that I talk to that are in that, you know, are in physical therapists, chiropractors, you know, what they know and the knowledge they have is very, very valuable. I respect all of them. I used to be very like anti-Western medicine, anti-doctor, and I know the better way, and I just gonna rub kombucha and everything, and everything's gonna be fine. But no, I have a lot of respect for doctors, and they're in an interesting time where they have to pivot. Because there's so much distrust and there's just nutrition and diet and food source education needs to come along with these doctorates and with these with an education in medicine. If not, the issue is you'll have somebody that's like, all right, so the reason why you're hurting is you're not stretching, and you know, try drinking a little more water and just stretching and doing these exercises. We'll come in, we'll do some decomp, and you know, we'll adjust you. Problem's inflammation, and you can stretch all you want. You can drink as much water as you want, and water's great. Sleep hygiene's great. All these things are great. And I love that more doctors are using that as a part of their guidance and advice. But like at the end of the day, if if you're a meat eater and you're buying beef, buying chicken, and you're buying fish, if you are getting farm caught fish, your fish are fish farms, they're being fed corn. Spikes that corn is a source of omega-6 that spikes that animal then becomes metabolically unhealthy, and then you're consuming it. Then say you have beef and it's say it says grass fed, you're trying to work it up a notch. Grass fed, and then when the winter comes, they're fed corn. So that animal maybe got a little bit of a boost in the spring, but for the most part is in a state of metabolic failure. You are then consuming that meat. So then you get to your chicken. Even with me, my chickens, there is a $120 difference between my organic feed, which is stuff they'll naturally eat, including the bugs they have access to in the soil, and the kitchen scraps. But just the corn feed, it's $20 for 100 pounds. You know, so
Yeah.
so if you're eating an animal that's metabolically unhealthy, then again, you are going to be in a state of inflammation. Now, inflammation, I have a tendency to take things to extremes. And so, like, I monitor all my biomarkers really routinely. And so I cut out anything I can cut out that can generate inflammation. So my uric acid was like almost fucking flat and ended. And my doctor was like, hey, this is awesome, but you need inflammation. It serves a purpose. It does things. You need to get that number from 1 to at least 4. And so I let a little bit in. But like it's having an understanding of your baseline and not just going on guided, just blindly saying like this is what they say is good for me, so that I'm gonna take it. That's just not enough. When it comes to vegetables, when it comes to fruits, and it comes to all these other things, we eat for comfort. We don't eat with intention. And listen, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I want to eat an entire freaking plate of raspberries and blueberries. Like these things are good for us. But when you're eating in season and you're eating with intention, berries are a summer thing, and they provide energy. They have a lot of great antioxidants. But if you're eating them in abundance year round, even with the fiber, with nothing else surrounding it, you are going to get a glucose spike. These are little tiny things that start to chip away at your, at your health. So, you have to really kind of, I don't, when I tell people these things, it's not to say like, oh, you don't know these things. Any idea how freaking hard it is to just learn these things? It takes a lot of research because there's a lot of bullshit out there. So everybody wants to now sell the most healthiest thing. And so you have to really filter through these buzzwords to understand what you're getting. So when you're buying things, when you're buying organic, grass-fed, grass-finished beef, that shit can break your pocket. That shit can break your pocket easily. And a lot of people, when they lecture the populace of, oh, you need to get the best beef, yeah, sometimes that's not fucking in the budget. But what is in the budget, my third shout out product, Dirty Dog Farms, they sell by the cow. It's crowd based, so you can buy a whole cow, you can buy half a cow, you can buy a quarter cow, or you can just get what you need for the month. But when you're buying in bulk like that, you can do payments. So if you say like, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to divide this over the course of a couple of months, because you don't buy it right then and there, you have to wait. um then you've locked in that price. Right now, the price of beef is stupid. Not for me, because I bought my beef like 5 months ago. And I'm not going to need to buy beef again for probably like another 6, 7, 8 months, maybe. So when you buy in bulk, that helps. In terms of buying at the grocery store, sometimes some grocers lie. Like, I really hate to say that. You can tell when you look at them, like, that is a farmed fish. And it's you can educate yourself to be able to look at the meat, look at the texture and the smell, and be able to differentiate these things just as good as a butcher. It just takes time. So when you use, I'm personally a fan of, it's Alaskan Seafood Company. I'm just gonna double check because there's a couple with the same. They handle their own manufacturing, so the middleman's been cut out. And I do a subscription. I just did the math of how much fish that, me and my husband will eat in a month, plus like maybe some guests. And then I multiply that by what I would do in 16 weeks, and I'll order like 20 pounds of fish. And sometimes you're getting it like 16, 17, 18, maybe $19 a pound. Versus when you go to the grocery store, there was one point that wild caught salmon was like 44.99 a pound. It's absolutely ridiculous. The EPA, the DHA, the omega 3, like all these things are extremely good for us. We should be eating fish a couple times a week. Vegetarians, vegans, don't come at me. There's an entirely different plan for you, and we appreciate that. But when it comes to getting that into a regular schmegular diet, like these things can, a lot of people don't want to approach those things. That things cost money and people have less of it. And so when you have to choose between your health and your diet, like sometimes there's only like margins that are this big to do so those are things that I do to kind of be able to prioritize being able to get the best meats I can get, to keep the omega 6s down. Because a lot of times you're doing this, stop drinking soda for a week. And in a week, you're going to notice that's not doing that. Change your diet, make those slight adjustments. Do a fast, do a 24 or 48-hour fast. If your doctor is cool with you doing something like that, switch to just bone broth. And just, again, you will monitor these things and you'll notice, wow, my hands, they're not hurting. My back, it's not hurting. Now, when somebody who's in their teens or 20s says that, then listen, teens, when you're in your teens or 20s, your body's very quickly to adapt to a change. So when you make an adjustment, you feel great. It can be really quick. But when you get in your 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, when you make an adjustment and something immediately feels good, it's like it's life changing. It's like, oh, I can walk down the stairs again.
And I think to talk about fasting, people can do their research on it, and if it's something that people want to start trying to do, all you need to do is just take your normal window. Like say you last eat at 7 p.m. You work late, you eat late, and then you always get up and you have breakfast at 7 a.m. You could try 7:30. Do that for a week. Then 8 a.m. Do that for a week. It's just 30 minutes. Like people can kind of start stretching into having like larger windows of not eating. The bigger the window, it really does. The body really does do a beautiful thing. And I love fasting because what people don't know about it is that the magical thing that happens after long enough time is autophagy. This was discovered, I don't remember when, but the guy just got a Nobel Prize for discovering it, autophagy. It's where the body actually eats dead cells. So fasting for long enough can heal a lot of things. Mindy Pels talks about it. She's another one I follow along with Jessie and Chiappe or whatever that girl's name is, the glucose goddess. And I don't really do a lot of fasting like right now. I mean, I just have like a 14-hour window. It's nothing crazy.
It's Yoshinori Osumi, and please, if I'm butchering the name, please correct me.
He just got the Nobel,
Yeah,
right?
he got the Nobel Peace Prize
Yeah.
in physiology and medicine. He changed
Yeah.
how we understand cellular cleanup, longevity, and disease.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Mm.
And like I think that the body knows what to do. Like if you ever notice sometimes like when you're sick, you're not hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's your body telling you that you need to fast. So that your body can go into autophagy and obviously we still need hydration. And
It's
like
very controversial, okay?
Sorry.
who's oh
I
I was like,
I was
didn't get it.
I was looking up the I was looking up I was looking up the doctor, and my finger touched a link.
But yeah, I think it's something cool that everybody should look into it.
Mhm.
And I think that people that are scared of doing it or people who are diabetic, they already have like metabolic dysfunction. Yeah, you have to talk to your doctor. Type 2 diabetics, they can safely fast, but you have to talk with your doctor. You have to monitor your blood sugar, and make sure that you're doing it correctly. You can't follow a shit diet and start fasting.
No.
So I urge anybody who wants to experiment with fasting, start eating some more whole foods, start eating some more protein. Once you have a good solid base, then you can start experimenting with like stretching out your eating windows. But if you're still doing the Red Bull, you're still doing the Dr. Pepper, you're only eating one shitty, horrible, calorie-filled meal a day with like no protein, you are gonna die from fasting. Like you're not die, but like
Psychologically, you're going to lose your
you are
shit.
just going to feel horrible,
A
yes,
lot of
because you're
people
gonna
don't.
have
A lot of people don't. They're not able to. I would say more so now. This is acknowledged. What goes on in your brain when you're addicted to food?
and when you're uncomfortable, what goes on in your brain?
It's like it's been 5
Being
minutes.
hungry is
That
actually
5 minutes.
okay,
It
right?
feels like I did a 70-hour fast, but like 3 years ago, like sometimes it's going like 15 minutes with a fucking potato chip, and it's just like, oh, I'm gonna die. And it makes me think like my ancestors, man, fucking fought wars and fucking traveled all over the freaking world and did all their things, and it's like, and it ends with me fucking craving a potato chip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's and another thing that I think is prevalent, and I would love to talk about this in more depth, is basically mindset. People don't like being uncomfortable. So that comes with fasting, eating healthy. They're craving those snack foods, they're craving those sugars. There's a little bit of discomfort in that, and nobody wants to ever sit in any discomfort. creating a new workout routine, there's discomfort in it because you're disrupting your normal schedule, you're making room for it, you're carving time out for it, you're sweating, your muscles hurt. The next day you're sore. It all kind of sucks a little bit. Nobody wants to sit in discomfort. And reframing things the way that you think about pain, the way you think about discomfort, the way you think about motivation, because we don't have motivation. Motivation is it's a very silly word. It's very nebulous. It's discipline. It's not, you're never going to become motivated to do all these things.
No.
It's just discipline. And the discipline is sitting in the discomfort and being like, yeah, I'm going to do it again because this is just what I do. This is just what we do.
It's okay to be uncomfortable.
It's totally okay to be uncomfortable. I don't think anybody is, I think a lot of people these days are just not okay with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Maybe it's a younger generation thing.
Yeah, I think, I mean, honestly, I don't even think it's a young versus old thing. I think that it's anybody.
Because I mean, boomers are suffering from it.
Grew up
Fellow
60,
millennials are
like you
suffering
grow,
from it.
anyone who grew up from like the 50s, I'm sorry, the 60s onward, like we
Yeah.
don't have food insecurity. We don't know how, and I would
Yeah.
say even more so, I'd say something that, that the 2000 babies onward, I would say our generation, we're a little bit on like, in the middle of a
Right.
timeline,
Yes.
generation Goonies. But one of the biggest issues is we don't know how to be bored anymore.
That
Some
too.
of the most greatest music and art and ideas and medical breakthroughs happens as a result of boredom. And you think of the fun things we did as children, the fantasies we came up in our minds, the things we wrote all stemmed from boredom. And we are completely deficit in that as a society because we have all these things constantly stimulating us and it fucks with our dopamine.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, people instead of, taking the time to, well, I think, taking the time to just use your brain instead letting the TV, the phone, the iPad, the computer tell you what to think, how to think, disconnect, which disconnection's great. Disconnect when you need to. But sometimes you need to use your brain, engage it so that you can get the creativity flowing, which then gets everything else flowing. But that's
Yeah.
even, never mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have, just like you have autophagy in your body when we recycle cells. Here's the understanding of also the use of AI and smart tools and using software and technology to assist us in our day-to-day lives. You, there is autophagy of the brain because the brain is a muscle, and if you're not using it for things that are hard and challenging, then you get frustrated, and then it gets quoted as
Yeah.
anxiety. It's not anxiety. You need to use your brain. You need to get frustrated. Like, I think that's probably one of the most misunderstood with the attention deficit disorder generation, wave one, is that we were put into a box saying, hey, this is how we learn and this is how we study, and we're I'm more so, well, I have a lot of different views on attention deficit disorder and my own personal opinions. I think it's something that is a natural curiosity that affects a different part of the population, that we need to engage in our environment. We need to learn differently, and because we didn't fix with that fit in that box, then they medicated us, and then that generated a whole other side of issues, is that the world isn't built for us, and that's the biggest problem. I think that as the elder generations kind of tap out of running the world, then there's going to be us running the world. And I don't know about y'all, but these complicated, unnecessary forms of bureaucracy and paperwork and annoyance, that's the first shit going in the incinerator. I'm like, hey, let's make this easy. Let's make this a button. Okay, that's how we do this. Press the button, boom, done. Something I didn't want to forget, because when you were talking about autophagy and diabetes, there's a doctor that I highly recommend everyone follow. His name is, I'm gonna
Dr. Fong!
No, Dr. Pradip Jamanadas. I will put that in the.
Damn
I will
it.
send it to. I'll send it to Victoria. He is. He's a doctor. I believe he's in Washington D.C. He is a cardiologist, and he has a dietitian, and he specializes in stents and in people with diabetes. So he had his practice for about 30 years, and he had some of the same patients for 30 years. And he's like, all right, cool. You have been on the same meds. I've been loading you up with stints for the past 30 years, and you're not any better. And so this is a unique period in the timeline, because we don't really have a lot of history here. We have 100 years of medical science that we're really really monitoring a lot of. And wow, I'm keeping my patients alive, but they're not getting better. Is the patient wrong? Is the food wrong? Is the life wrong? So he really opens up his practice to nutrition. He brought in a nutritionist, and he started making his diabetic patients fast. And he started making his heart patients fast. And he's the person that got me really into my research on advanced glycation and products. That's AGEs. Each body is programmed with a upper limit tolerance to what advanced glycation products are. Basically, it's a reaction between sugars and proteins that happens depending on how the meal is prepped. For example, if you have a chicken and you're going to roast this chicken, you stuff it full of vegetables. It's so healthy, and you put it in the oven, and you crank it up to 450 degrees, and you cook it for an hour and a half, and now you have this healthy chicken. The level of AGEs that's in it is like 9,000, and that's just one meal. Now, moisture-based cooking decreases that almost to nothing. So nature had this perfect system for us. The temperature water boils is 212 degrees. That's what you purify your water in, and that's what you cook your meat in, and that's how we do it. Now, because we're so smart with our big beautiful brains, we now incinerate our meat at 450 degrees. And I got my air fryer. This is going to make it nice and healthy for me because there's no fat. And again, just because there's not enough solid research and education, and people respect the doctors more than anyone else. So now that the doctors are like, wait a minute, we're medicating people too much. Like, this isn't working. So he extensively talked about advanced glycation. If you take an egg and you fry it in a pan, the AGEs are going to be in the thousands, versus if you hard boil an egg, it might be like 15. When it comes to bread, the crust on the bread has higher advanced glycation and products. The inside has less. That's why it's so funny that, the English, they're so ahead of their time, like cutting the crusts off of the bread and just eating the center. Indian cuisine, all moisture-based cooking, making a curry, marinades. These are all ways you can reduce your advanced glycation and products. Advanced glycation,
Except for the tandoor oven, because the tandoor burning lots of meats, which is still delicious.
exactly.
I do love my AGEs. I love my AGEs.
But there's little things you
girl.
can do they are delicious, and that's the biggest issue, but you
Yeah.
can reduce them. You can make a marinade,
Yeah.
or you can make a curry. If you're gonna take chicken and put it on the grill, take that chicken, you're gonna put it in a bag. You can put fresh lemons. Lemons help reduce advanced glycation. But I do
Vinegar.
There's all these different steps you can do to reverse it. So I highly recommend Dr. Pradip Jamadas, and I will make sure to send that.
And
to
Dr. Jason Fung, I mean, he doesn't talk about advanced glycation end products, but he, same thing, had all these patients and started realizing like nobody's getting healthier. They're still having high cholesterol and type 2 diabetes and PCOS and just all these like metabolic disorders. And he started having people fast, and that was like, game changing for him, that he was reversing his type 2 diabetes. Now this is type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is a whole different beast. This is where your pancreas doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and you were born that way. But I'm talking strictly about people who put themselves into or had a family predisposition toward, going head fast into metabolic disorders. Yeah, I mean, he changed the lives of so many people, and his book is called The Obesity Code.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that book.
Yeah, it's a great book. And it'll blow your lid, you know.
Yeah, well, it's also it's understanding that, pain, it isn't mechanical. And your chiropractor, your physical therapist, your all of these specialists, what their training goes to is that, oh, this is mechanical, we're going to address this mechanically. And I use all these people to run my life. I use them supplementally. I don't take nutrition advice from them. Some you can. Like my chiropractor is kind of subscribes to the same kind of crazy that I do, so we get along very well. But it's metabolic. That's what pain is. It is metabolic. So if you're eating food, if you're eating animals that are eating corn, if you are roasting every single meal in the oven, and if you are eating lots of chips and you're eating lots of processed food, you're gonna be inflamed. You're gonna be inflamed and you're gonna feel it. And what's super sad is, man, I met this chick at a show, and she saw me how I cook. I could bring a cooker so I can steam my food, so I can eat mindfully even when I travel. And she did the same thing, and she called me to say, I didn't know I was in pain. I didn't know my body hurt. I just knew that when I was tired, I was tired, and when I wasn't tired, I wasn't tired. And it wasn't until things felt good that I realized that I was in pain. This was a young woman. A young woman. She was barely 30 years old. And that fucked me up so bad to have somebody that young be like, I have been in pain my entire life. I have never not felt this way, whether I was 12, 20, or now. And so it gives a lot of exposure to this issue that, like, you can have the best doctor, the best meds, the best insurance. You're not supposed to be in pain all the time. You're not supposed to be inflamed all the time. Now, I say this because I've lived this. The polar end of the spectrum of being a maniac and never living life and never being able to go out to eat with your friends and never being able to do those things. I've lived that way and been that unfun person. When you're mindfully eating and you eat well, and you fuck up and you have some chocolate cake, or you have some beer, or you go out and drink with your friends, or do whatever your vices are. Yeah, that's fine when it's like a thing that you barely do. If it's a part of your life every single day, that's when it becomes a problem. And
Yeah.
the biggest issue, and this is why I speak about this, is every professional that speaks about this lens, the one thing they don't address is the future. And the future is are we going to have the same access to medical care that our seniors have? I don't know. I can't answer that. I cannot answer that. Healthcare is a shit show and another show in itself. And I would like to not tank this wonderful podcast before it begins by talking about anything political. I basically, would just like to preface that we have a shared concern, anybody under the age of 55, that we may not have the same benefits. May not have the same accessibility to healthcare. So we need to be like extra on top of our shit, because we may not have a team of doctors and home health care and people to put us back together. And who wants to live that way? I mean, like, I watch the seniors that are in my families, and it doesn't look fun to be on fucking 15 medications to survive, and then worrying about how you're going to get your medications that keep you alive every month. That's terrifying. It's a horrible way to live, and I wouldn't want that for our children. I wouldn't want that for myself, and I don't want it for them. But the best way we can change this as a society is talk, and make adjustments in what we do. Like, I when I started eating super duper healthy, what sucked is it fucked up my social life. Because I wasn't going out to eat with my friends. I wasn't going out and having drinks with my friends. Communal eating is so beautiful. I love when, even whether it's shows, whether it's freaking concerts, going to a friend's house, I don't want to be that dick that just, is lugging my cooler around and having to. No, you want to eat, like, I will eat my fill. And then when I'm with my tribe, I'll eat the healthiest thing I can eat. I won't talk about food. I'll just enjoy them and I'll enjoy the community. And I think that's something that's really big that needs to be worked into this, is that, abstaining from eating badly doesn't mean you need to withdraw from being social. And I think that's what's really hard on a lot of people when they make these changes, is like, I feel great, but I'm really alone. That is a given. I make it a point where I really like cooking for other people, because I like cooking for other people and watching their faces of just like, oh my God, this is so good. And then the next day, like, wow, like I feel really good. And sometimes it might be like 3 or 4 days later, like there's a difference from what I ate with you 3 days ago and what I've been eating for the past couple of days. And I think that because we become so consumed with being busy and performance and food just being a comfort thing for self, that we've somehow kind of lost the connection of just how to be able to just kind of change eating to not just be something that has to hurt our bodies and our livers. And if that makes any sense. So yeah. I think something that actually would be something that would actually be beneficial to bring up is yeah, a lot of the misunderstanding in terms of calorie counting. I always hate it when people are, again, they're trying to lose weight and they're trying to go on a miracle diet to lose weight, and then they're overtraining, and they're getting a lot of bad advice from people. They're like, look at me now, and it's just like, I think that what a lot of people, obviously there's a food ignorance about this, and then there's just an abundance of too much information online of like what kind of exercise is great. You can do cardio all day long. At the end of the day, you need to incorporate a healthy balance of movement, of restorative work, lifting weights, and eating right. So I always hate it when I see people like, yeah, I cut everything out of my diet and I'm just eating like this and that. I'm eating at a 9 and 1,200 a day calorie diet when you're used to eating 4. And obviously when people see the number 4, they get really disgusted with themselves. But again, a lot of the food has nutritional value, and so the calorie content is really high. And just like a bag could be 1,000 calories, and you just consumed it, you couldn't stop. So then your body is not going to stop being hungry until it's gotten a smidge of the nutrition that it needs. Then having to reduce your calories with the mindset of what you were eating before becomes really challenging. I eat constantly. I aggressively eat in my window. I have steaks, I have potatoes, I have carrots, I have tuna, I have chicken, I eat sourdough. And sometimes even just eating these whole foods, I can barely get to 1,500 calories a day. And I'm talking pigging out. And I couldn't eat any more if I wanted to. So I think that's what mentally screws with people, is like, they're cool. I can only have a couple chips and a couple of this, and that's padding up so much of your calorie intake. You could eat in a deficit, but still eat like a queen or a king. You don't have to just wipe everything out of your freaking steel joy. Like, your body needs food. Um, and if just shut off and stop eating, you're going to create another host of issues. I don't like dieting. I like lifestyle, and lifestyle is sustainable. And whereas dieting, it's just, we've watched 60 years of it, from the jazz aerobics days to the water suits to Thigh Master and all this shit. And it's just like, again, these aggressive diets and fads, they're not going to last. You need a lifestyle change. And I know that
Yeah.
that's been a big part of your journey, obviously applying all these changes to your life too. So I definitely appreciate any insights that you have as well.
Well, I think that yeah, everybody wants to call it a diet, and I'm sure we've all heard this now. People say, don't make it a diet, make it a lifestyle, and I know that that's super cliche, but it is true. I think the simplest thing is just eliminating a lot of the processed foods, just eating more whole foods, cooking at home more often. Honestly is going to make a huge difference. And I see a lot of people that are just grabbing like to go food or fast food, and, trying to keep things quick. And cooking your own food is just going to make a world of a difference, obviously, in your pocketbook. I know you talked about getting like bulk cow. Some people don't really have that ability. They might not have like a big chest freezer. But getting bulk meat from places like Sam's Club or Costco. Costco has a really good organic selection of everything. So I get a lot of my grass-fed beef from Costco, my organic chicken from Costco. I don't necessarily buy my fruits and vegetables in bulk because I might not be able to eat them fast enough. Um, but I visit the store a few times a week. I do grocery pickup or I'll do grocery delivery. That's another way to like save your time. And then if you're not actually walking in the store hungry, you're not gonna likely grab those snack foods that are really attractive, that are on the edges of the aisles, and it's like, very enticing. So I love doing my online grocery ordering like on my phone. I either do
Smart.
grocery pickup, grocery delivery, um, because half the time I do go in there, my ADHD brain can't keep me like in one place, and then I'm hitting the aisles and I'm like, oh, that's neat. Look at those little chips, or oh, look at that. Oh, they're snap peas, and like a lot of the stuff you think is healthy is not, but it's easy to want to buy it when you're walking around. So um, again, like just going on my HEB app or the Kroger app or wherever you live, everybody has grocery delivery. And if all you have near you is a Walmart, they do sell produce, and you can, I don't recommend getting your meat from Walmart, but again, if it's the only thing available to you, try to go to the organic meat. You know, just eat more whole foods, and yeah, I don't know. I kind of lost my
No, it's all good. The other thing is eating in season. If you got
yeah.
little ones, go berry picking with them, get some extra little hands. And blueberry season is usually end of the summer. I literally I will pick fruit that I end up freezing. And I know there's a lot of people have a lot of things to say about the nutritional stability in the freezer. It stays frozen. Freezing blueberries that were picked during season are healthier
Hmm.
than the organic blueberries that are sitting in the shelf, because regardless of what man does to make nature do what it wants, the fruit is going to fruit. And when it has a purpose, and it has a timeline, and it has a season, and the blueberry season wasn't supposed to be 12 months out of the year. It is supposed to be a window of about 8 weeks. Same thing with strawberry picking. It's actually a smaller window, and it's really, really, really fluctuates on the weather. If there's too much rain, it messes it up. But just again, getting on the ground, getting your feet in the dirt, getting in a squatting position, and just picking berries and doing it with kids like that. That again, that act of being in the sun, like doing this at like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. It's hard work. It's not easy, but that's what we're built for. We're built for things that are hard. Then you've got all your berries for a year, and you don't have to do it all in one haul. You can say, cool, the next 3 weekends I'm going berry picking on Saturday between 9 and noon, and get 30, 40 pounds of berries. And again, if you don't have room, you'd be surprised what you can find on Facebook Marketplace of people getting rid of freezers. And I'm trying to think what else.
That's how I got my garage fridge
Yeah,
freezer. That's where like I
get
fit all of my
it.
bulk meat, and drinks are out there.
Yeah.
Obviously beer, but extra waters and stuff for the kid. I think everybody needs
Yeah.
a
No, you
garage
if you
or
if you can
basement
do that,
fridge.
other things you can do to save money but not sacrifice quality. Frozen vegetables, things like
Hmm.
carrots, sweet potatoes, the broccoli florets, because again, there's a season for it. And again, it's when these things are frozen and in the fridge, you're not paying that premium because it was picked at its prime time. So these are just all little adjustments that you can do to kind of improve kind of what you're putting in your gas tank. It doesn't mean life doesn't need to
Well,
be
and
fun.
Victoria said it earlier, and I know this is a really simple hack, but had said, shopping from the outside of your grocery
Hmm.
store, that is huge. And I think I don't remember who said that. I don't know. It's advice from pretty much any dietitian will tell you, like, stay out of the middle of the grocery store.
Yep.
Obviously, your freezer section, you can go in there and get your, your frozen stuff, but you've got your bakery and your produce and your deli and your meat and like all of that. Like, just make a circle around the grocery store. And then if there's stuff that you need in the middle, like spices and canned foods, great. But I think that yeah, that's a simple hack too. Like, try to scour the produce and the meat and fill your cart with stuff like that. Again, Whole Foods. I don't care if you're vegan, vegetarian, paleo, keto, every single one of those diets. If you follow any Mediterranean, if you follow any of them, all whole food.
Another adjustment you can make, to your consumption is lay off on the sauces, the salad dressings. You need balsamic vinegar, olive oil, avocado oil, and with a staple pantry of spices, you can make anything. Yeah, I can make ranch dressing from scratch. I can make mayonnaise from scratch. And it's just like, ooh, how do you have the time? It takes like literally 6 seconds. I don't even batch make it. When I make a salad, I make my salad dressing. I take basil, salt, pepper, oregano. If I'm feeling spicy, I'll add rosemary. Um, toss in the jar, a little bit of oil, a little bit of balsamic, shake that shit up, and it's good to go.
I even love a good lemon shallot dressing.
That's what's
Mm,
up, Grandma. I like that shit. Are
yeah.
you getting hungry, Victoria?
Starving. My ex-husband's family always made it from fresh squeezed lemon juice, some type of oil. Think either olive oil,
Yeah.
salt, and fresh garlic. You mix it up, and they poured it over everything. There was a salad with romaine lettuce, cooked potatoes. They put it over that, hard-boiled eggs. They put it over that. Ew. See, this is why I miss the ex-husband. I miss their family's food.
Dude, the fresh garlic too, like fresh garlic is no joke. It adds like a level of spice and kapow to
Yeah.
everything. It's so good.
Yeah.
And on a salad,
And
oh,
then you don't need to have like I live in the city and I live in the country, and where I live in the country I've got 17 acres of land, and I'm surrounded by farms to boot, and I can hunt on my property. And while that's great, I did live in a New York City apartment, and I did have a window where granted, did I grow a yield that allowed me to freaking just live off the land? No. But I was able to mindfully grow vegetables and to have just to kind of, I feel like psychologically, when you can grow something that feeds yourself, it makes you feel like like you have a purpose. It feels good to grow your own food. Um, it's if you have soil that's rocky and you're not comfortable with it, literally take a trip to Home Depot, get a couple planks of wood, and just
make a veggie
make a veggie
box.
box,
Like
dump
a,
the soil in, give it a
yeah,
little churn, throw some seeds in, bam, like there's so many. The University of YouTube has done a wonderful
yeah.
service to the world, and disservice for some things, but it's just you can learn how to do absolutely anything. So I think the whole point of saying is all this is with all these different suggestions and life changes and ideas that are being thrown at you, the brain has its path that it guides you every day that you're happy doing. And so it's easy to say, I can't. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's your body and it's your life. But sell yourself a little bit of an adjustment so you can feel a little bit better. And when you try to do these big life changes, your body's going to rebel and it's going to hate you. You just make some tweaks and you start feeling a difference. And I would say the first thing to change is just cut down your anything with omega 6s in it. Cut down obviously your farm raised anything, and buy grass finished beef. Again, if you're not eating meat, I'm not the person to talk to in terms of vegetarian cuisine and advisement, but there's so much information out
Adding
there.
adding protein, whatever it is, whatever diet you're on, adding protein to every single meal.
Hmm.
That's one simple thing anybody could
Yep.
do. Add protein to every meal. Chase protein. If you're going out for soup and salad at a restaurant and you're like, I'm being healthy, soup and salad, and that just ask for a side of protein. Just ask for some
Yeah.
chicken,
Yeah, and
you
pain
know?
is if when you also have to view your pain and your inflammation as your body, your body has this amazing, we're not just these like vulnerable creatures that can't function. Our bodies have these amazing abilities to tell us when something's wrong, and pain is usually an
Yeah.
indicator something's wrong. So dulling your pain, medicating your pain, or just ignoring your pain, that's not going to help your situation. So it's always important to work with your doctor, but also work with nutrition, with movement, with exercise, so you can have a better life. And when it comes to like preventative health care, it doesn't always have to start with a doctor's office. It could start in
Yeah.
red light therapy, swimming, yoga, tai chi, strength training, taking a walk, rucking,
Taking your vitamins.
drinking 8 glasses of water a day.
Yep. Sleeping well.
Sleep hygiene, holy shit. I used that shit, that description used to piss me off something, because my body had developed this amazing way of being able to go to bed at midnight and or 1 and wake up at 6 7, and I was a little cranky, but I could wake up, go do what I needed to do. And that way I liked, because I was a workaholic, so I would work, I work from like, I'd commute in an hour. So like between 12, 13, 14 hours a day. So I would like to come home and have hours where I could feel like a person. And while I still agree with that mantra, I go to bed earlier. I wake up earlier, and I try to prepare for the day ahead by not leaving myself with a disaster. So, that's, you know,
All right, we'll pause the conversation here. It'll continue next week. Please give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Pet Zone Podcast. Have a crazy customer story, confession, or just something else you'd like to share with the show? Please feel free to email us at info@petzonepodcast.com. Don't be shy. We can keep you anonymous if you like. Also, if you're a professional pet groomer, please feel free to check out the Facebook group, Mobile Groomer Zone. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show on any podcast platform you're listening on, and share it with a friend. Until next time.